Here's what nobody tells you about learning: you've been doing it wrong your entire life. Not because you're dumb, actually, the opposite. Your brain is this incredible 3-pound machine that burns 20% of everything you eat. And yet, most of what you study just vanishes, gone. Why? Because nobody taught you how your brain actually learns. Today, I'm showing you a blueprint, a real system that flips everything you thought you knew. By the end, you'll see exactly why some people master things fast while others grind for years and stay stuck. Your ceiling isn't talent, it's method. When I say accelerated learning, I don't mean shortcuts or hacks or any of that garbage. I mean working with your brain instead of against it. What if you could cut your learning curve in half, not by grinding more hours, but by using the right approach? That's this blueprint. It's a map of how mastery actually works based on how neurons wire together. Most people treat learning like filling a bucket. Just pour more in. But your brain isn't a bucket. It's a living system with rules. Once you understand those rules, everything changes. The question isn't whether you can learn faster, it's whether you're willing to learn differently. Picture this: you've got a gallon jug of information, everything you're trying to learn, and you're pouring it into a bowl that holds 4 ounces. What happens to the rest? Spills everywhere. Gone. This is your working memory. 4 independent ideas. That's the limit. Your brain weighs 2% of your body but burns 20% of your fuel. It's expensive to run. So it protects itself, refuses to process more than it can handle. This isn't a flaw, it's a design feature. The moment you accept the 4-ounce limit, you stop fighting your biology and start designing around it. Before you even open a textbook, your brain needs to be primed. Like warming up before a workout. 3 things matter most. First, what you believe about yourself literally changes what you're capable of. Your self-talk is software running in the background. Second, your body and brain aren't separate. When you move, your neurons groove. Third, learn like you're going to teach it to someone else. That last one alone can double your retention. Why? Because your brain tags the information differently when it knows someone else is depending on you to explain it. Prime before you perform. 3 things drive whether something sticks. Why do you care? That's the heart. If you don't have a real reason, your brain tags the information as unimportant and dumps it. Then there's attention. You know that thing where you walk into a room and forget why? You weren't paying attention when you formed the intention. That's not a memory problem. That's an attention problem. And finally, technique. The actual methods for anchoring data. Here's the truth nobody wants to hear. There's no such thing as a good or bad memory. There's only trained and untrained. Memory is a skill, not a gift. Not everyone learns the same way. There's a framework with 4 brain types based on how fast you process and whether you lead with logic or emotion. Dolphins see patterns, need the big picture first before diving into details. Cheetahs learn by doing, give them a task immediately or they check out. Owls want the data, the sequence, the proof. Elephants connect through relationships and stories. Which one are you? Because if you've been forcing yourself to learn like an owl when you're actually a cheetah, you've been swimming upstream your whole life. Match the method to the mind. First real phase, reduction. Your brain doesn't need more information. It needs better organization. 20% of what you're studying drives 80% of your results. So why treat every piece of information equally? You shouldn't. Protect your attention like it's expensive, because it is. Then there's association. Connect the new thing to something you already know. If you can't sketch a concept simply on a napkin, your brain hasn't organized it yet. It's still floating around as noise. Reduction isn't about learning less. It's about learning the right things first, so everything else has somewhere to attach. Think of skills like a tree. The trunk is your core fundamentals, the 20% that supports everything else. The branches are advanced applications. The leaves are the fancy stuff everyone wants to skip to. Here's the problem. People climb straight for the leaves and wonder why they keep falling. You have to identify the trunk first. What are the lowest hanging, highest yield moves? Those are your targets. And here's the discipline part. Ignore everything else until the trunk is automatic. Not just learned, automatic. Fundamentals should be invisible, running in the background while your conscious mind handles the complex stuff on top. That's how experts actually work. Phase 2 is where most people completely fall apart. Active rehearsal. Watching doesn't build skill. Doing builds skill. Period. Start before you're ready. Make the worst possible version immediately. Why? Because mistakes are directional signs. They tell you exactly where to focus next. Then there's something called the generation effect. Your brain builds knowledge by retrieving it, not by passively receiving it. Rereading your notes? Almost worthless. Testing yourself on those notes? That's where the magic happens. Test early. Test often. Pull the data from memory before it's comfortable. That friction you feel, that's literally neurons connecting. Here's what your brain really doesn't want you to know. That feeling of struggle, that friction when something is hard, your amygdala labels it as a threat. It's trying to conserve energy. But that friction is the literal signal of learning happening. The struggle is the point. There's a thing called the 40-20 rule. Spend 20 minutes on comfortable review, the stuff you already know. Then spend 40 minutes attacking your absolute weakest points, the stuff that makes you uncomfortable. Most people do the opposite. They stay in the comfort zone, passively reading, feeling productive while learning nothing. Your edge is in the discomfort zone. Phase 3 is about closing the gap between action and feedback. It's a loop. You form a guess about how something works. You test it immediately on a real problem. You find where it broke. You refine and repeat. The shorter that loop, the faster you learn. Most people wait too long to test. They study for weeks, then take one big exam, then wonder why they failed. No. Test after every session. Find the gap the same day you created it. That's how you kill wasted effort. Learning isn't linear, it's cyclical. Every cycle that tightens is a cycle that compounds. This one changed everything for me. The explanation effect. When you teach something, foggy concepts have to become rigid structures. You can't hand-wave your way through an explanation. The moment you try to put it into words for someone else, you discover exactly what you don't actually understand. That's immediate calibration. And here's the beautiful part. You don't need to be a master to teach. You just need to be one step ahead. Find someone who knows less than you and explain what you just learned. Their confusion will show you your own gaps. Teaching isn't the reward for learning. Teaching is the learning. Phase 4 might be the most counterintuitive. Consolidation. Here's the gym thing. You don't build muscle in the gym. You tear it down. You build it while you sleep. Your brain works the same way. Deep focus during study just tags information as important. It sends the request. But rest is what actually wires and stabilizes those connections. It executes the command. So if you're grinding through 6-hour study sessions with no breaks, you're not being productive. You're being wasteful. Your brain needs downtime to do the heavy lifting. Focus is only half the equation. Rest isn't laziness, it's architecture. Let me break down exactly how to structure recovery. 3 levels. Micro. Every 10 to 20 seconds during intense focus, your brain is actually replaying what you just learned at 20 times speed. Let it. Don't fill every pause with your phone. Mid-level, 90 minutes of work, then 20 minutes of zero input rest. This honors your natural rhythm. And deep recovery, 8 hours of sleep. This is when short-term memory permanently transfers to long-term storage. Skip sleep, skip the transfer. It's that simple. Recovery isn't optional. It's when the real work happens. Zoom out and see the whole system. 4 phases working together: reduce, rehearse, feedback, consolidate. They're not steps you complete once. They're a cycle you run continuously. Reduce the material to its core, actively rehearse until it starts becoming automatic. Test and get feedback to find the gaps. Consolidate through rest. Then cycle back. Tighter each time. This is the mastery blueprint, an interconnected system for rapid adaptation. Not a hack, not a trick, a way of working with your brain's actual architecture. When these 4 phases are spinning together, skill building stops being a grind. It becomes a rhythm. I'll leave you with this. Knowledge isn't power. Everyone says that, but it's wrong. Knowledge is potential. It only becomes power when you act on it. So here's your move. Pick one thing from this blueprint, just one, and use it today. Not tomorrow, today. Push past the comfort zone. Feel that friction, because that's the sound of your brain rewiring itself. You change your brain, you change your life. Your only competition is who you were yesterday.